Hi, I'm Diane Dresback, and I am joined by Kimberly and Melissa Farley today. And we are talking about From Us for You, the compilation book. And the subtitle of that is Inspiring Stories of Healing, Growth, and Transformation. And it's a little unusual because they are interviewing me, so I get to sit in the hot seat today. So instead of them being there. So I could tell you how I met myself, but I think that's probably pretty obvious. So fire away, ladies.
Okay, well, I'll go first if it's okay. And the very first time I met you, Diane, the very first memory that I have of meeting you was in Steve Wargo's office in his home. And we wanted to write this short film. And he said, well, the only way out, because he was going to be the director, he said, the only way I'll work with you is if Diane Dresback writes the script. Well, who's Diane Dresback? And you walked in and pen and paper in hand and sat down, and here we are all these years later. I'm so thrilled to be sitting here interviewing you today, and so along with Melissa. But I've asked other interviewers, please give, oh wait, you don't have an elevator pitch because you are writing the foreword. So can you give us a little hint of what it's about?
Yeah, so it's actually a preface. So I've changed that to the preface,
Okay.
and it's basically just how all of these women coming together have made such an impact on me, and how much I really hope the readers will read all of the chapters and not just the chapter that they know somebody has written, because they all have something really, really important to say. And also how different all the chapters are. So it's very eclectic. And I love that. And that was my intention, was to not homogenize all of the chapters so they sound the same. I wanted the voice of the person that's writing to come through, and it definitely did.
And what was the process of choosing that? Because I mean, obviously, or do you know all of the authors? And if you do, how did you do that? I just, to make it so eclectic.
I think I knew probably 75% of the women that I invited to write. The other ones are new, and they came from other people making recommendations. And some of those people were writing a chapter and they said, oh, you need to talk to this person, or I don't have time to do it right now. I'd love to. I had a lot of, I had some people that say they wanted to, but timing was just wrong. And but talk to this person. And so I met some new people, and they were wonderful. They've really, really given the book a lot of good additional topics. And so when I first came up with the idea, I sent out an email to people, and probably about 15 people, and say, hey, would you be interested in doing something like this? No, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not. And I I had such an overwhelming response, like, yeah, I love that idea. I think that's great, that I said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and move forward with that.
So Diane, first I want to say, when I first met you, I was in my 20s, brand new to film, and I thought you were the most badass woman because I hadn't met a female filmmaker yet. And I was so enthralled by you. And I think I didn't like stalk you, but I definitely like looked you up and researched you because I was like, I want to do what she does. So it's such a pleasure now to be sitting here with you and to be included in this amazing work that you have brought to life. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Where did you even come up with the idea to do this? What was the impetus of making this all happen?
Well, I want to go off topic here because of something you said about the film, and this was a story that I don't know, I think it would be appropriate. And when I first, I've been doing film stuff for a while, And I did production work even longer ago than when I was doing, narrative film stuff. But I remember, and this was right after I met you, Kimber, and you invited me to go to an A3F, which is the Almost Famous Film Festival. And they had film competitions, and so you invited me to go to a screening. And so I went, and I love A3F. They at the end, before the awards ceremony, they bring all the filmmakers, all the directors up there, and to talk about, to introduce themselves, and so when I was sitting in the audience, there was probably 25 or 30 white males standing up there, all the same. There was one ethnically different, and that was Bivas, and which we ended up working together, doing a lot of projects together. But when I stood up there and I saw all these white males, and I'm thinking, something, I want to be up there. I want to be up there on that stage, and I'm going to make that happen. And so that was really kind of prodded me to do that. And I'm so glad that I did. And now when they have functions, there's lots of women up there and color up there. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm not saying I did all that, but it was just like, that was a goal I wanted to do. I'm like, I want to be up there. So anyway, so that was a little bit of kind of the film stuff.
But I have to interject something here. You didn't just do that. You went on then to become Filmmaker of the Year for the Phoenix Film Festival, which that in itself is an accomplishment that very few get to stand up there. Not 20 to 30 people, one person gets to stand there, and you stood there. And to me, that's amazing. So you watered it down a little bit, and I'm going to raise it back up.
Thank you. That was a really good year. That was a good year. Okay, so back to the book compilation. I've had this idea of gathering stories for a while, actually, and I just never went there. And I love writing narrative, writing novels, and so I actually spent the last couple years working on a novel. It's actually a trilogy, and it's going to come out right after we finish putting this book out. And and the other thing is that I wanted to do something collaborative, because I miss doing that. And with COVID, and then I just, being in Texas for 6 years, and now being back, and I just wanted to do something with a bunch of people. And so I thought, well, this will be the good time. This will be a good time, because people are, I think, could use a little uplifting and encouragement, and not just myself. And so I just decided to do it. And here we are.
And
Well, we are so thankful that you did do this. And I think Kimber and I have had the honor and the privilege of interviewing a lot of these incredible authors that you have surrounded yourself with. And I know you said that you knew about 75% of them, but I just want to say that meeting these women, hearing their stories, hearing them talk about things has been so incredible. I mean, this is such an amazing group of people that you've surrounded yourself with. And I'm curious, Diane, if you've learned anything new, or if anything really surprised you or stood out to you as you've started to get these stories in and started to sit on these interviews. I mean, even maybe people that you knew, like we interviewed a high school teacher of yours the other day, like, I'm just curious if there's something that stands out to you where you were surprised to find something out about these people that have been in your circle.
Yes, there definitely has been some things that have come up, and more so probably in reading the stories, because I'm going in and putting them all together. So, and so, yeah, I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know that happened to that person, or I didn't realize that the journey that they took was so difficult. And I almost wrote about this in the preface, but I decided not to, because I thought, no, it's not going to. It doesn't fit there. But I am all about trying not to make assumptions about people. And I think it's just an easy thing that we do is make assumptions. We see somebody in a situation or walking down the street or on a Zoom call, and we make assumptions. And those assumptions are based on our experience and things that probably 99% of the time are not true. And I think that's just such an easy thing for us to do. We do it all the time, every day. And I think it's more important to listen and to ask the questions and to find out what the facts are, and in order to understand that person better. Because listening, and I write this in the preface, that listening is a gift, because so often people don't listen. They don't take the time to really stop and listen. And I think I'm probably more of a listener than I am a talker, which I'm much more comfortable just listening. And it's like, oh, so anyway, I think it's I have learned several things from these women's and from these women, and I want us all to not jump to conclusions and make assumptions about people based on just trivial things.
And I have a question for you. Did you ever find yourself, while you were reading one of the chapters, did you find yourself there in their position in any of the 24 chapters in the book?
I think that I think in some of them there were certain things that I could relate to, something that I went through. Thankfully, I haven't gone through some of the, some people write about some very, very difficult things, and I'm very, very grateful that I haven't experienced that. But there are certain things that brought tear to my eye, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that is just wow, and it touched me for sure.
And hopefully that same thing will happen to the reader, because do you think the book there are learning tools in there, or there are enough learning tools in the book to help somebody else?
I do. I think, and the readers will see this, is that because the stories are so different, I didn't focus it, like just medical issues or just, kind of growing as a person. I just left it open for the women to write about what they felt was important. And and so the journey is very different for different people. Some are super, super intense. Some are kind of more even and just talking about things that, that happened to them and how they got through those things. So they're all very different. But the idea that I was trying to, get the authors to do is to talk about lessons. What did they learn? What was their experience like? Because I wanted the reader to be able to hear that. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, that
Yes.
was great.
Okay.
Yeah. So Diane, you made the very gracious decision to donate proceeds to a nonprofit organization. Can you talk about why you wanted to do that and what prompted you to make that decision?
I think because I was asking the authors to contribute their time. And because none of the writers are getting paid, I decided to give the net profits to an organization that helped women. And I think that's important, because that's what we're doing. We are a bunch of women that are writing these stories and sharing and uplifting. And I just thought that I wanted to give the proceeds to a nonprofit that, kind of fits into that. And I specifically was looking for one that upheld women and helped them and advocated for them. And later on we'll be, announcing who the nonprofit is. At this point that I'm keeping that down, but I think it was more of a gut feel. It's like that made it feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is a right choice, because when you're doing something to help another who perhaps won't have that opportunity to help themselves, I don't think it's right to profit off of that. So that's a really good decision. And the question's been asked throughout the 24 authors or 25 authors, and we've all learned something about ourselves. I wondered if that happened to you during this process, because this is a huge undertaking to corral 25 people. And I know a little bit about your personality with lists and all the things that you do. So did you learn anything about you, Diane, through this process?
I learned, and I think it's just more enforced because I kind of knew this about myself, but I love collaborative projects, and I mentioned that before, and I love working with other people, and I have missed that, and I think it's reinforced that. Um, and so I think that this particular project has been extra special because there's so many people involved that are sharing a part of themselves, and I think that it's a little different than coming on a film set and being there to provide catering or sound or whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's one thing is better than the other, but this is just it's so much more personal. And I've gotten so many people that have said thank you for doing this, because I've learned about myself, or this was really difficult, but yet I came out, I've grown a little bit about this. And they shared that. Many people have shared that with me, privately, and then also on these interviews that we've been doing. So I guess I didn't realize that how impactful it was going to be, and we haven't even got the book out yet. So I'm like, yay, that's good. So
I have to ask, since it's so impactful, not just for you, but for the people that were involved with writing chapters for the book, it's obviously going to be impactful for the people that read the book. Any chance that there might be a book 2?
I have thought about that, but I have not committed yet. I have to see how this one plays out. And I do like the process. I mean, I do like it. So I'm kind of putting that to the side right now, and we'll see how this goes. And maybe, I don't know. I'm not committing, right?
That was an optimistic yet non-committal answer.
Yeah,
So very well done.
Yes.
And my final question to you, Diane, is this: being an author and writing a book, it is your baby. Nobody has seen it yet because you're still in the pregnancy stage and you haven't given birth to it. But once you give birth to it and your child becomes the age of 5 and starts school, where do you see it? How do you see its progression 5 years from now with this beautiful book?
The progression of the book itself.
The journey with the book itself. Yes, your little baby.
My little baby. Well, she's going to be 5. I really want to do an audiobook of this. And I would love to, and hopefully this happens before the 5 years, but we'll see. I'd really love to have each of the authors read their own chapter. And because I'm a big audiobook listener, and that's just the way I read. And I think it would be really cool to be able to hear the woman's voice reading that book. Also, I just want it to spread. I mean, I want people to have a good reaction to it, and I know that both of you, Kimber and Melissa, are helping, and I want to thank you so much for helping put together a plan to spread the word about the book. You guys have been just so wonderful about all of that, and I hope that that continues on, and that women are encouraging women and uplifting other women. I think we need more and more and more of that. And there are a billion stories out there. Every story is important, and every story should be told. And if this is one little one little way to make it happen. I just am so grateful for that. And I hope that that will be, further down the road 5 years from now.
So my last question, Diane, is, so a lot of thought really went into the title From Us for You. And I just would like you to say a few words about who is you? Who is this book for? When there's people browsing through online shopping or in a bookstore or wherever it ends up, who do you envision picking up this book, and who are we writing this for?
I would say that we are writing this book to anybody that is needing encouragement and needing some inspiration. And a lot of people draw that inspiration, encouragement, and examples of bravery and heroes from stories. Stories are a great way to put it out. Real stories. I'm not saying made up stories. I mean, real stories. People learn so much from other people. And so I think, and even though these 25 stories are written by women, I think that men, young girls, I mean, it really, people can pick it up and read it. A lot of the stories, some of the stories are focused, on some women's issues, but not even really, because like even abuse issues and, different things like that. And journeys and all that kind of stuff can relate to men as well. So even though it's written by women, I think that men are also, I think they would also enjoy the stories. It's just, I want people to read the stories, kind of get the feeling and be encouraged to do something different themselves.
That's awesome. And I thought I had one more question, but the audience has a question.
The
And
audience has a question.
they do. And their question is, when is your book coming out?
Right now, the launch date is April 14th, 2021.
There you go, folks.
So, and if you'd like more details, you can go to FromUsForYou.com and find out more information there. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for putting me in the hot seat.
Thank you, Diane. You did awesome.
Good. And now you have to close out your own interview.
Yes, I do. All right. Well, thank you. And look for the book.